Welcome back again, guys. There are a few updates we need to make to our game. Let's run the game one more time so you can get what I mean. I'm going to be on main and I'm going to hit debug. Going to provide my name as David, number of questions as 3, and I'm going to select questions from science category and difficulty of easy. I'm going to hit play. Now, my first question, it says, what is oceanology, the study of? I think that is going to be oceans. I'm going to select oceans. Okay, I scored that 10 points. And question number 2 says, what is semitology, the study of? I think I don't really know what this is, but I think it's Semitic cultures. Okay, I'm going to choose that and hit submit. Oh yeah, I got it. 20 points. And the last question, which is the third question, is what are male cows called? That's very easy. That's going to be boo boo. Yeah. So I'm going to hit submit. And you can see what I was talking about. The game is over. If you go to the output panel, you can see we started running the game. It ran successfully, displayed all the questions, and got to an end. But the problem here is that it is not fair for the user because the user doesn't even know if they were successful in the game. So we need to add a form that says, oh, you scored 3 out of 3 questions, or you scored 2 out of 3 questions, or you scored 10 out of 10 questions. And then we need to also revert or return the game back to the landing page once the user is done playing. Without wasting too much time, let's go do this. Now, to implement this, you need to go into the game engine form, and we're going to add a hidden component to the game engine form. So on your component section, you would see underneath data, you would see hidden. Drag the hidden field right after the game panel. So I'm going to place it here. I'm going to give the hidden field a name of last question answered and a field key name of last question answered. Okay. And I want to hit save. So now I have a hidden field. The next thing I want to do is go to your game panel. This is your game panel. You want to hit edit and you want to go to logic and you want to add a logic. For logic name, you want to give it a name of hide panel logic, and you want to set the type to simple, and you want to keep this to when the form component. So what form component, we're going to select the last question answered component, which is the hidden field. So we're going to say when this component has a value of yes. We're going to put the word yes. And now we need to add an action. So click add action, and for your action name, you're going to call it hide panel action or whatever. And for the type, it's going to be property, and your component's property is going to be hidden. So you want to hide the panel that this action is attached to, and you want to set state to true, and that is all. Now you want to save this action and save your logic and save your changes and Control S to save. Now you're done. Next, you want to add a second panel. So you want to go to layout on your component section, and you should see panel. Drag the panel right after the last question answered component, and you want to set this to panel 2. So there's going to be panel 2. There's going to be the title, and you want to set this to hidden. This panel should always be hidden until you say do not hide. So you want to hide the label. Also, you want to go to logic right now. You want to add a logic and give your logic a name and call this logic show panel logic. Right now, you want to give the type to simple, and for this, you want to select the last question answered component when it has a value of yes. What do you want to do? You want to add an action, and that action, you want to call it show panel action, and you want to set the type to property, and you want to set the component property to of hidden. You want to reference that property, and you want to set the state to false. So you're going to set the state here of the hidden states to false, and that's all. Save action, save logic, save out of this, and Control S to save. Finally, within our second panel, we're going to add a text area. Now, we're going to give the text area a label name of completion message, and we're going to make the label hidden and keep it disabled because it's just going to display a completion message. Now we're going to go to the field key and we're going to keep the property name as completion message. It looks good, and I'm going to save out of this and Control S to save. Last but not the least, I'm going to have a button right inside of the second panel underneath the completion message component. I'm going to give the label to, we're going to set the label to OK. And for action, maybe I could just leave it at custom. It doesn't matter. Okay, now I go over to the field key and the property name. I'm going to call this complete button. Okay, looks good. And I'm going to save and Control S to save. Now you want to go to your game engine workflow. So I'm going to go to my game engine workflow, and just in the show form activity before the for each loop, you want to expand on the arguments here, and you want to add an entry to reference the field key property name last question answered component. Now you want to set the value of that to no. You hit save and Control S to save. Now we need to create a special workflow for the next bunch of stuff. Go to design, new sequence flow. We're going to create a workflow with the name complete game. And it looks good. I'm going to hit create and I am here. Okay. Now, if you remember, there was a logic I built sometime during this course, and it's in my get player selected answer. So I want to pick this logic. So I'm going to pick the entire sequence. I'm going to copy and close out of the get player selected answer and paste this sequence into my complete game. Hit Control S to save. Okay, I'm going to change the message here to waiting for response. Control S to save. And I'm going to expand on this, and I don't need to, I'm going to delete this. So this is going to be complete button now. Complete button. I'm going to set this to false here. That's fine. And Control S to save and expand on the while loop here. Basically, I'm just referencing the complete button instead of the submit button. So I don't need this anymore here because I'm not grabbing any answer options. This is going to be complete button instead. And that's good. And I save. Looks good. Control S to save. You can see the errors are going out. And that's all I need to do. And I don't need to reset this value here. Do I need that? I don't need that. But we can still reset the value of the complete button. Complete button. And we want to set this to false too. And fine. It looks good. And I can change the message here to response received. I don't know if that spelling of received is correct, but that looks okay. All right. Now go over to arguments, and you want to bring in an argument player score. Okay. And it's going to be an integer type because our score is an integer. And we're going to bring in player, create another argument and call it maximum possible score, and also make it an integer. Okay, that looks good. Control S to save. Again, we also need a variable. So I'm going to create a variable and call the variable name display message. Make it a type string, and that's all. Now we need some evaluation. So right before the workflow begins, I'm going to have an if statement, and within the condition of the if statement, I am going to make this expression. I'm going to say player score divided by maximum possible score. Is it greater than 0.8? I'm going to save. Control S to save. We need an assign in the then side of your if statement. You want to have an assign, and you want to set display message to this. You want to expand on this and set it to this message. You're going to say success. You passed with an overall score of. What I'm trying to do here is compute the percentage score, and I convert that to a string and I put the percentage sign. So this is going to display message. Looks good. I'm going to hit save. Alternatively, when the player doesn't score above 0.8, we do the same thing in the else. We're going to set display message to this. We're going to expand on this, but this time we're going to say, oops, you failed. Your score was whatever score the player got in general. I'm going to hit save and Control S to save. Okay, now we need to go to the set from values here, expand on this, and you want to set the value of the completion message component. You want to set that to the display message. And I'm going to save out of this, Control S to save. Now you want to go right to the end of your workflow, and you want to have a close form activity, and you want to close the game engine form and Control S to save. I don't think I am really comfortable with the word complete game. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to go to project and I'm going to rename the complete game workflow. So I'm going to rename, right click and rename. I'm going to call this shut down game engine. And that's good. It makes more sense. And I'm going to hit OK. And it looks good. Now we need to go back into the game engine and just right after the for each loop. So I'm going to shrink this. So right after the for each loop, we are going to get the shutdown game engine invoked. I'm going to hit import arguments and I'm going to expand on this. And you want to set player score to player score. That bounce automatically. And for maximum possible score, you want to expand on this. And now, how do we get the maximum possible score? I want you guys to think about this and try to implement it yourself. And we can get the maximum possible score by doing this. What we're trying to say here is that we're going to count all the items in the quiz buckets. Each item in the quiz bucket represents a quiz question, and we multiply the total number of items in the quiz bucket by 10. And that gives us the maximum possible score. Remember, one quiz question is equivalent to 10 points. I'm going to hit save out of this, and Control S to save. Okay, before we hop out, let's do another test. I'm going to close out of this, close out of this, close out of everything except for your main, and I'm going to debug from my main. Hit debug. I'm going to provide my name as Chukwuebuka. Number of questions to be 3. I'm going to select science and difficulty easy, and I hit play. Okay, I have my game up and running. So let's see. I'm going to submit this, and the largest mammal in the world, and that's an elephant. I'm going to submit this. Boom. There is a problem. If you notice, the display message did not get rendered. To fix that, you need a delay. So you're going to have a delay right after the set from values in your shutdown game engine workflow. And you want to have a delay of 3 seconds. So you're going to do this. 3 seconds delay. And you want to have a set from values again. Set from values right after the delay. And this time around, you want to reference, you're still going to reference the same game engine form, but you are only going to set the value for the completion message. So that's going to be set to the display message, and you save. Now, the reason why we had that error was because the component, the completion message component was hidden, and then the purpose of this set form value here is to show that component, but at the same time we are passing the message into it. There is some lag with that, so that doesn't get rendered immediately and we still have a blank screen. So we need to delay for a few seconds, then passing the display message, and this should fix it. Let's give it a try. Now running my game from the main, I start by providing my name as Ephraim Oku and my number of questions to be 4, type of question as science, and difficulty easy. I hit play. Okay, it opens up the game engine form and I'm going to select my answers. Submit. Acidity is the answer to this question. What is an allergy? What allergy is caused by pollen of certain plants? I'm going to say hay fever. Did I get that? Okay. What is the name of a shape with 3 sides? There's going to be a triangle. Okay, it works. It works. Okay, so you can see we had a bit of delay. That's the 3 seconds delay, and we have a message rendered. It makes sense. Now this works. So I'm glad it works. Hit OK, and we're good.